So, Tracy, after 64 years, you haven't lost faith.
There's a Met fan waiting to get out of all of us because we all have a metabolism. It's just that our metabolisms are very strong, so we become Met fans. I know we're football fans too. You like the Giants, I like the Jets. They play at MetLife Stadium.
Right, I get.
And I take a medication to maintain my sugar called Metformin. If they called it Yankee Formin, I wouldn't take it.
Jay Horwitz with a really special edition of Amazing Mets Conversation. I've been doing this podcast about 5 years. We never, ever, ever had a bona fide Met fan from 1962 say hello to Tracy Nieporent. Did I screw it up?
No, Nieporent, you said perfectly.
Perfect. So, Tracy, you've been a fan 62 years.
Yeah. I was 9 years old when it started. My dad took me to a doubleheader at the Polo Grounds, August 4th, 1962.
Right.
Mets against the Cincinnati Reds, defending National League champs with Frank Robinson and a whole cavalcade of stars. Mets win the first game. I'm really excited. Second game goes into the 14th inning.
He was still there?
And I was still there.
How many hot dogs did you have that day?
I didn't win the Coney Island contest, but, I was in the running. Frank Thomas comes up, hits a home run, walk-off, 14th inning, Mets win 3-2. So they won 2 games that day. They won 40 games that year. They won 2 that day. I saw 5% of the entire wins for the season in one day.
Let me tell you, I know. Did you ever get to know Frank at all? I mean,
no.
He passed away a couple of months after the old-timers game. He broke his back, ruled himself to come to the game. He said he had a home run at the Polo Grounds, Shea Stadium, and he wanted to hit a home run in Citi Field, and he didn't get to do that. So 40 and 120 first year. How come he didn't flip to the Yankees?
I have a natural inclination to root for the underdog.
Right.
And Jay, let me tell you something. There's a Met fan waiting to get out of all of us because we all have a metabolism. It's just that our metabolisms are very strong, so we become Met fans. I mean, I know we're football fans too. You like the Giants, I like the Jets. They play at MetLife Stadium.
Right, I get.
And I take a medication to maintain my sugar called Metformin. If they called it Yankee Formin, I wouldn't take it.
Were all your friends Yankee fans?
A lot of them were. And the first games that I went to in my life were Yankee games in 1960 and 61. Those are the first games I really remember. And I was a big fan of Mickey Mantle. And actually, the day I was born, April 17th, 1953, Mickey Mantle hit a home run off Chuck Stobbs in Washington. Wow. That was one of the longest home runs ever hit. Yeah.
So you stayed a Met? You stayed loyal to the Mets?
Always through thick and thin. I mean, there's just something about it. I just identified. I liked the uniforms. I liked the colors.
Right.
And I imagined myself in the playground being Roger Craig, or Richie Ashburn, or Frank Thomas.
Games. One time I asked Roger Craig, what did Casey say? He'd lose in 24 games. He said, well, must have confidence in me because he kept running me out
there. They put him out there all the time. I mean, listen, they had some good players. The problem was they were way past their primes. Yeah. So, but, it was so exciting to see a National League team back in New York. The Polo Grounds was very rickety, but, it was
Do you know about that game? I just researched a game. Bob Miller started that game for the Mets, and Bob Miller got the win in the 40th.
The other Bob Miller.
The other Bob. There were 2 Bob Millers at that.
Yeah, we led the league in Bob Millers.
We had a lot. Yeah. What? So after 60, what's your next memorable game after the 62 game?
And through the years, I think when Seaver first came up, that was very exciting. I think he won 16 games that year, and whenever he came out to pitch, you didn't know he was going to become the Hall of Famer, but you knew he was a competitor and that the talent level was rising. And
who's your favorite Met in the 60s that you would like?
It's Ron Swoboda. It really is.
And now you're buddies with him.
I'm buddies with him now. We met at the Mets Dream Camp in 2003. And
let me stop you a second. Tell the people don't know Fanny what that is and why people keep now it expands to 3 weeks now. What's good about
it's a wonderful experience. You really get to pretend that you're a ball player. Now I hadn't played hardball since Little League, so you go out there and you're at Port St. Lucie and you're at the high Florida sky and you're playing on this beautiful grass and everything. And it's kind of like the first day you're just shagging flies and it's like being on roller skates. But eventually you start to get your rhythm a little bit. My manager was Tim Tuffle and Bob Apodaca was the other coach.
So good guys.
Swoboda was coaching one of the other teams. And on the way to the ballpark one day, he was in the back of the bus, and I walked back there and I sat down and we just started talking, and not really about baseball, just about what was going on in the world.
Yeah.
And there
He's
was
very politically inclined.
Oh, well, he's very knowledgeable. We
Yeah.
had both read an article by Thomas Friedman,
Right.
who writes quite a bit about the Middle
Right.
East. He's very well read, and we just hit it off really well. And at the end of Dream Camp, which is a great experience, I mean, you get to play ball every day, you get to wear a uniform, you have a
Tell
locker.
me about Kangaroo Court.
Well, Clint Hurdle was the head of
Right.
the camp that year. Believe me, my playing performance was very lackluster, but I just enjoyed being out there. I just felt the experience. You know, I knew I wasn't going to set any records for being a blazing base stealer or a great defensive player or a strong hitter, but you know, you compete the best you can, and you have fun. And there's a sense of camaraderie, and it's a great experience.
Your Met fandom took you to Japan in 2000.
Yeah, we went to Japan, and those were actually the first games ever played outside of North America
Right.
that actually counted.
Right.
And of course, Benny Agbayani came through big time with a grand slam in the second game.
Yeah,
And we
5-1,
needed that one.
Beat the Cubs. We needed that to get.
It was at the Big Egg in Tokyo.
That
Really,
was a good bonding experience for the guys. You know, when did you get to know Bobby on the trip at all? I mean,
well, we actually knew him before then. We had met him. You know, Bobby has a restaurant also, so
Right.
we had met him, and also he was related to Ralph Branca, and we knew
Right.
Ralph Branca pretty well. Ralph Branca used to come to Tribeca Grill all the time, and he also was my brother's insurance guy for a period of time. I actually went to a Yankee game once with Ralph Branca, and you know, we were both like, you know, I think they were playing the White Sox. We were both rooting for the White Sox.
yeah.
You know?
I always admired when he came. I'm a diehard Giant fan, and he came out that the Giants might have been cheating, getting the signs.
Yeah.
And he took the high road. Everyone, you know,
He was a gentleman. He was a lovely guy. You know, he had to carry that albatross
Right.
with that home run, but he really was a very good pitcher, and he had a very good career.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
You know, he was a solid pitcher, and to be reminded, you know, just of that all the time, it's kind of unfair.
You know, I want to pick. I know you've been through the years, pick your brain in a couple of games. You mentioned 2000 World Series Game 6 against the Cardinals. After Endy Chavez makes the catch in the sixth inning, I think the score was it 1-1 or nothing? Nothing. I forget what it was. 1-1. And then the bottom of the inning, we get the bases loaded and we don't score. What do you remember about Endy's catch?
Well, the catch was incredible. And the crowd, also, they threw the ball in and they double guide
Right.
off first base. So
Right.
it was a tremendous play on every level. In the ninth inning, we had a real chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Beltran, we didn't realize that at the time how good Wainwright was. And Wainwright went
Yeah.
on to have a really
He made
stellar
a
career.
hellacious pitch.
He
didn't he?
threw a pitch that just fell off the table. And
Yeah.
what are you going to do? But this interesting thing with Beltran is that when the Mets signed him, they actually had the party at Tribeca Grill. And I
Right.
remember Scott Boras being there. And the other guy they signed was a guy named Philip Humber, who went on to pitch a perfect game with the White Sox.
White
I think.
Sox,
Never
yeah.
really had the career that was expected. But I remembered Beltran being very polite, very nice. And I had a menu that night, and he signed it with some kind of a biblical inscription.
Club's very religious.
And
yeah.
and I thought, well, this guy, you know, he's gonna be great on the team.
And you tell me you were both no hitters, right? The combined no hitter.
yeah.
What am I?
The Johan Santana one was so unexpected because going into that night, the weather looked like it might be a problem.
Right.
He had all kinds of health issues, so it was unlikely that he would pitch a complete game, never mind a no-hitter. And just as the night started to transpire, it was just incredible that it was going the way it was going. And when it happened, I mean, it was just kind of unbelievable.
You're a big Met fan, so Seaver, David Cohn, Kuzman, Matlock, and after all those pitches, he's the first guy to pitch a no-hitter.
Yeah.
You know,
And he was so close to the end. I think he pitched one good game after that,
Yeah,
and then he kind of fell apart.
Yeah, you know.
But I remember once when we were trying to get into the playoffs late in the season, he played a game that kept us going. He was a
Against
bulldog.
Miami, he pitched.
Yeah.
But what do you remember about when when we had the 4 or 5 pitchers combined game?
That was such an incredible game, too, because we didn't really realize what was happening until we got to the later innings. And I was actually with Dave Marish, who's a guy who used to be a big news
Channel
guy
2,
here.
with Channel
Yeah,
2, yeah.
absolutely.
Big
With
man.
Rollins Smith and everything. He's a
Yeah,
very good
yeah.
friend of mine. And we're a lovely guy and a big baseball fan. And we're watching the game. And I just said, you know, we haven't given up any hits.
Yeah,
It was just weird. And so as you got into the later innings, and of course it's different when you have different pitchers coming in. But once you've gotten to that point, you really want to get it.
Yeah.
And every pitcher came through that night. They all did. And so it was exciting. It was great.
Non-baseball took for a second. I saw you, unfortunately, at a funeral in July.
Yeah.
Our dear friend Mark Lavine passed away. I've known Mark as 35 years baseball guy, but really there's another side of Mark with all the charity work that he did. He would have experiences at the ballpark. Why don't you tell the people one of the things he did with your restaurant, Tribeca Grill, would help raise money to combat sarcoma, right?
Yes. Mark, the one thing I always look to in people is character. It's important in the putting together a baseball team, and it's important in interpersonal relationships in life. And Mark had character in spades. He was a lovely guy. Every year he would do the Kristen Ann Carr Foundation event at Tribeca Grill to fight sarcoma. Kristen Ann Carr was the daughter of Barbara Carr, and they managed, and Dave Marsh, and they managed Bruce Springsteen's career. And they've done this fundraiser every year, and he photographs it. Many years, Bruce Springsteen has played at the event. Last year, Jackson Brown played at it. The year before, it was, I'm just forgetting now. But
Mark, what he did was he marked it tenfold. I mean, he had other, he did all these other charities. Every night he would have somebody with him. Then he auctioned off to raise money for a specific charity.
He was just amazing. And he's so hardworking and so dedicated and always looking for the best shots and always looking for the best in people. And I just, on his birthday this year, I was joking with him. It was the night before the Mets had beaten the Yankees. And I said, on your birthday, the Mets are going to win again. And they won 12-2. And so then I texted him. I said, you see, you're bringing them good mojo. Yeah. And he wrote back, for now.
Yeah.
And then I found out on July 4th what happened. And I just couldn't believe it. And I still can't believe it when I think about it, because in my mind's eye, he's still here. I just haven't seen him.
His funeral was amazing.
It was
300 people, GMs, former players, John Franco, Dwight Gooden, Sandy Olson was here. Just a credit to Mark and what he meant to so many people.
It's nice that people are remembering him and recognizing him, because I don't think that, he expected that. I don't think he would have expected it. Right. I think he was just, he kind of worked behind the scenes. And he was very self-effacing. And, we had a friendship over 3 decades. And I loved dining with him. I just, his wife, his daughter, it just was a very nice relationship.
Tracy, one of the things with the Mets and you have in common, too, 9/11 was our passion. And we had a team in 2001, did everything ground zero. I know at your restaurant, right after that, you did a lot of work for the workers at ground zero.
Yeah, we did that, and really it went over a period of months where we were working. At the very beginning, we were kind of a station where people would get together and deliver food. And then the first days, we literally were carrying bags of food to the site, to the pile. Then we were putting sheet pans of food together at kind of buffet style all over the area. And we did that for a long time. In the first couple of days, they thought that they might find some survivors.
How close were you to the pile? I mean,
we're half a mile.
Really, half a mile?
About 10 blocks. We're in Tribeca, so it's lower Manhattan. And we actually were the bakery. We delivered bread for Windows on the World. Right. So we knew a lot of the people up there. We made deliveries to them. We had a bakery, Tri Bakery on Franklin Street, that unfortunately ultimately was a casualty of 9/11, because after 9/11, business slowed down considerably, and people couldn't pay their bills. And you're baking bread; it's perishable. You're doing it 24 hours, 7 days a week. And
the Yankees have won 28 World Series. We've won 2. What makes a guy like you say, "Screw it, I'm going to jump on"? What makes Met fans be Met fan? We come close sometimes, some also runs, but 2 times in 64 years is not 28 times.
No, it's true. But the one thing I would say is this, that the journey is the reward. Yes, we haven't had as many winning seasons, but there have been many exciting games. There have been many thrilling games. Right. There have been plenty of heartbreaking ones. But the character of the team, the personality of the team, it's not all just about winning championships. Right. I think when you put that as it's a great goal, and of course you want to accomplish it, but there's also honor in the effort and the quest. And I think for the Mets, we are a little fatalistic as Met fans. We always feel like maybe we have one foot on the banana peel and the other in the grave, But, when we come through, and like right now, we're on this wonderful, glorious, innocent rise.
Right.
A month ago, we were kind of like wringing our hands and saying, well, this is a very disappointing season. And then suddenly, we're back in the fray. And who knows where we're going to go in the 2.5 months we have left. But whatever happens, I look forward to being in a lot of the games and enjoying them and hoping that we come out on top. And if we don't, I'll still enjoy them because I love being at Citi Field. I love our uniforms. I love our colors. I just love like I said, it's my metabolism. I love the Mets.
So, being up Citi Field for 9 years, you ran the Acela and Porsche clubs here?
11 years.
11 years.
11 years. Yeah, the Acela Club, the Porsche Grill, and then it was the Metropolitan Grill for a short time. And we kind of got knocked out of the box with COVID. And then they decided they wanted to do something different.
Well, what did you enjoy about most? I mean,
I loved, serving people here at Citi Field was wonderful. The food was really good. I think people who ate at the restaurant really enjoyed it. You could see they have tiers, and you could see windows looking out on the field. It's really the only venue in the ballpark that has that. And we had market tables, so you could eat buffet style. We also had entrees.
What was your specialty back then?
It was a good variety of meat and fish, charcuterie. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. Wonderful salads. I mean, the food was very diverse.
And you have a lot of athletes go to your restaurant, right? In Tribeca.
Oh, absolutely. We've had through the years. We've had a lot of parties at our restaurants in Tribeca. It was actually the Wilpons originally who wanted us to participate with a restaurant at Citi Field as it was being developed.
I know David Wright used to go a lot, right?
Well, David Wright came sometimes, but there were John Franco lives in Tribeca now.
Right.
So John Franco is a Nobu aficionado. He comes to Nobu all the time, and a lot of the athletes, a lot of football players and basketball players. Nobu is it's a phenomenon. It's really, I think it's the gold standard of Japanese food. Tribeca Grill, we've been partners with Robert De Niro and a whole bunch of other people going back to 1990. The Tribeca Festival, which used to be the film festival, emanates from our building. And in many ways, we helped to put Tribeca as a neighborhood on the map.
Who are you? I know you're especially close to the 69 guys like Shamsky and Swoboda, right? Who's your current Met that you identify with or? Lindor is just...
I have a lot of admiration for him, and he's playing brilliantly now. And I like Pete Alonso very much. I think there's a lot of question about moving forward whether he's going to still be here, and I hope he will be because he will set just about every meaningful record, at least in power numbers. And the fans like him, and he has behaved himself exemplarily and represented the team well.
He does a lot of good charity work too.
Yeah, he's represented the team well.
You know what I like about Lindor?
I'm not in player personnel, so
Lindor had a tough first year with the media, but he really reinvented the wheel, and he's been great. He's accountable. He's become the club spokesman, and he called the team meeting at the right time, and he's playing like an MVP now.
He really is, and it's unconscionable that he hasn't been on the All-Star team. It really is. But maybe it gave him a few days to recharge his batteries. I was watching, on television when they were at Yankee Stadium the other day, and his wife and daughter were sitting right by the dugout, and I loved the interaction between them. It showed the love of the family, but then he told her, I have to go to work now. I have a job to do. Yeah. And I just like the fact that he stands up there and he answers the questions, and I think it's not all cliche. I think. No, he's being honest. Yeah, he's being honest.
So, Tracy, after 64 years, you haven't lost faith?
No, that'll never happen. Maybe with some politicians.
Yes.
But not with the New York Mets. New York Mets, to me, it always comes back to character. And I've always seen good character players. Somebody like Ron Swoboda, who I just, Ron's 80 now.
Yeah.
But he really has the mentality and the personality of more of a 55 or 60-year-old.
Yeah, he does.
He's very, very up to date on what's going on in the world. He's wonderful to talk to, and I talk to him every week. And my only regret is that he lives in New Orleans, and we're in this area, so I don't see him as often as I would like. But when he comes to town, we always get together. And when I went to New Orleans and we did some things there, we went to the NBA All-Star game, and a few years ago when it was there, and he took me all over New Orleans to some wonderful places to
see
eat.
good people. I'm hoping, you know, 2000 we made it. We just lost to a good Yankee team, 15. Hopefully, you know, when people don't expect us to win a World Series, maybe this will be the year, make everybody happy.
You know, that would be incredible. Listen, even in 2015, nobody really thought that the team was scuffling for a long part that year. And then Cespedes came in, and suddenly, you know, and Daniel Murphy, you know, he was unconscious in a couple of those series. It's nice to see that.
I think we got a great manager. I really like Mendoza. He handles it.
He really, he's extremely articulate.
Right.
And you can just see he sees everything that's going on. And I think Mendoza's added benefit is that he's bilingual. He can communicate with everybody on the team really well. And
he's a decent guy.
Yeah, and he understands the game, and he understands that, you know, you can't get too high, you can't get too low.
Exactly,
it's baseball.
100%.
But he keeps the team on an even keel, and he keeps them focused. You know, it was interesting this week when they came back from Florida, and they get in the wee hours in the morning, early morning, and you figured they're going to be jet lagged. The Yankees had a day game. They got a night, you know, of meals and to sleep, and they're going to jump all over us in that game. And the Mets won that game. Well, and when I saw that, I said, you know what? That just shows a team that has a lot of heart. They're not giving anything away. They're going to fight each game. Well, so that was great. And then, of course, the second game, it was just like, it was unbelievable.
Well, I hope we can repay all your loyalty this year, get another World Championship, would be nice. And Tracy, thank you for your time, and thanks for being a friend, man.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Jay. This is one of my bucket lists,
well,
to meet you. Well, you've seen it all.
Well, and then some.
And a lot of good things wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been here.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for your time, man.